Yeah, so here we are. Like, seems like forever since we've had how's the long weekend? All right. Couldn't be a better name for a long weekend in Canada, could there? You know, happy 2-4, eh? Yeah. Have a good week. Oh, hey, welcome into what are we at now? Season 4, episode 11. I do believe, of Niagara 411 Live with Sterry, fueled by Gales Gas Bars. We are supported by Verge Insurance. We have, again, our brand new sponsors, which we're so pleased to have, Hartsel Marine, as well as Ace Alignment. And we are powered by WeeStream. Kevin Jack is behind this camera that I'm in front of at the moment. We'll chat with him in just a bit. We are housed, as per usual, in our fine fashion here on Fiddler's Poorhouse, right here in St. Paul Street. Come on in, have some lunch with us. We have a busy show today. There's a lot going on in Niagara, and we'll bring you up to date with what we're going to be having on the program today. One of the things that all animal lovers, even animal likers in Niagara, will be interested in is the fact that the Humane Society image for Niagara is going to be taking on kind of a whole new image. There's still going to be what they've always been doing so well, but the name is going to be changed to better reflect their coverage area, including the fact that Fort Erie is now going to be part of the family. So Kevin Struband, Executive Director of the Greater Niagara Humane Society, as you knew before, is a Lincoln County Humane Society, is going to be joining us to explain that, as well as there's still some problems with dogs becoming ill after going on walks in parks around Niagara, and it's really concerning. So we're going to be talking to Kevin about that. We have a comedy festival that's just getting underway, Garden City Comedy Festival here in St. Catharines. David Green is going to be joining us. David Adames from the Niagara Parks Commission. Justin Preston will be here as well to talk about some of that controversy about stories for kids, etc. A lot going on here today. So in about 30 seconds, we shall get the shindig underway. Come on in. Hey, welcome to actually May 2-4, eh? This is episode 11 of season 4 of Niagara 411 Live with Sterry. We are so pleased to have you here as the unofficial first week of summer gets underway. Kevin Jack, ladies and gentlemen, is on the right-hand side of your screen, co-founder of WeeStreem, along with his partner Brandon Scram. He is the brain. Well, this show is his brainchild, and we're just so pleased that we have had a great time bringing this show to you. Kevin, how was your couple of weeks? We only see each other every couple of weeks now.
Yeah, it was fantastically. Did a lot of local stuff. Went to Great Wolf Lodge for the very first time.
Oh, now you have to tell me how that, because I have stepped my foot in there, and I see like Kids Riot Central.
Yeah, pretty much what it is. I mean, it's absolutely for kids. There's not much there for adults, but I went down every water slide anyway. It was an absolute blast. Good on them. You know, sometimes you hear of these big companies coming in and they said, oh, they're going to create so many jobs. I think there's probably 800-900 people that are employed there.
It's
every
amazing.
Single one that we interacted with were local, and they were super happy.
And you know what? Every time, on a bit of a downer, but every time I drive by Great Wolf Lodge, I think of the manager of the place, who was so well thought of in Niagara, that had that tragic death on his cycle in Niagara last year. It's just, I can't help but not think about that when I drive by.
Well, that's a good point, but it was an absolute blast going there, and thanks to all the staff. And people say that it's like very expensive, and it's really not that bad, all things considered.
Well, I think you have to think about what you're getting for your dollar.
Absolutely.
Somebody said to me, and I wasn't even living in Niagara at the time. I think might have been Kingston, might have been anywhere. But it's, people do not want to pay anything to see anything local, but they'll pay hundreds and hundreds of dollars to go to Toronto to see the same thing. Why? Because they think, well, it's happening in the big city, it must be good. Yeah, we have some amazing things happening here in Niagara, and they're all worth the money. And speaking of which, we will have David Adames, the CEO of the Niagara Parks Commission, talking about attractions and things that are coming up, and some that caused actually a little bit of controversy down at Table Rock in Niagara Falls. So David will be joining us at about 12:40 today. Coming up at 12:20 today, Kevin Struband, as I mentioned off the top of the program, Executive Director of what is now known as the Greater Niagara Humane Society, used to be the Lincoln County Humane Society. And we'll be talking about that name change, why the name change, and some other things. And I want to tie that into a story that also came up and caught our attention today. Is about a dog, and not the first, just the next in a line of incidents that have happened with dogs in parks, etc., that have somehow come in contact with illegal recreational drugs. And I thought I didn't mention this to Kevin because I didn't have a chance to talk to him about it, but I would like to get his take on that. Again, David Green coming up a little bit after 1 o'clock. He is the organizer of the Garden City Comedy Festival, which is just getting underway today, I might add, and it's on through the 27th. Justin Preston, he is founder of Rise Up Against Bullying, and you are aware of the fact that there has been much controversy over drag queens doing story time for kids. And there was supposed to be a recent protest that didn't happen. Kevin and I, we think it didn't happen just because it was raining. I guess you're only supposed to protest during nice days. But nevertheless, we're going to have Justin on to talk about that. And we've got some interesting questions for Justin on this whole drag queen story time thing, because frankly, and not unjustifiably, there are a few questions that linger around this concept. Also, we have a musical guest coming up at about 1:30 today. Northern Lights is going to be here with their song called Baccarat. Kevin, we want to, again, talk about a bit of a solemn story, just to kick this program off and give honor where honor is due. It is with heavy hearts that we say goodbye to Captain Craig Bowman, who passed away this weekend after a determined fight with an occupational illness. Please keep Opie, as he was known, and his family in your thoughts and prayers. Captain Bowman started his fire service journey in Feulled and joined the Welland Fire Department as a full-time firefighter in 2002. Rising to the rank of captain, he was a natural leader and built many strong relationships, always looking out for others. Even as he fearlessly fought cancer, he focused on protecting others from the risks of the unrelenting illness. Cancer is a bitch. He was kind and caring and turned strangers into friends wherever he went. Welland Fire will proudly honor Captain Bowman with a visitation scheduled for Monday the 29th, this coming Monday, and service on Tuesday, May 30th. Although not yet recognized as a line of duty death, Welland Fire plans to hold a full line of duty death service and funeral. So, rest in peace, Captain. Such a young man to leave us so soon. Flags have been lowered at all city facilities and will remain at half-staff until May 31st to honor and remember Captain Bowman at the tender age of 47. Kevin, you mentioned that you may have even played hockey in the same realm or league as Captain Bowman.
I have some friends on the Welland Fire Department and recently started playing with them on their Thursday skates, and I think Captain Bowman paid a visit to the change room this year. And of course, he was spending time with some of his firefighter buddies. But I asked, I said, "Oh, who is this guy? And
Yeah.
it was explained to me that he's been battling sickness, and at the time, just, oh boy, hope he recovers. And unfortunately here, and we've sent along our condolences to the Welland firefighter community. Never heard that phrase before, the LODD.
Line of death, line of duty death, yeah. And I suppose it is, it's a good moniker to be able to use, because we have so many first responders that suffer different diseases for different reasons, and they may or may not be directly related to their tour of duty or their workplace. However, if you stretch the bet a little bit, these people, firefighters and folks like that, face different kinds of environments every day of their lives. And at the end of the day, none of those conditions can actually, I would think, be thought of as prolonging life. So I think it's an honorable thing for the Welland Fire Department to pursue the line of duty death designation for Captain Bowman. So many people that give their time and energy and life, and Kevin, have you noticed, I'm sure you have, that, and it's been my experience, and I've known a lot of firefighters and police officers and EMTs and first line responders in my professional life in the media over the years, because all of these organizations seem to operate under the same mantra of give back to the community that you're serving. And so many of these people give so much of their time and energy and goodwill and resources to the communities they serve. They could go back at the end of the day and just say, yep, ran another tour, put my feet up, have a beer and watch the TV. But so many of these people, men, women, responders, give much, much more than they get back from the communities they serve. And it seems to be a theme amongst those kinds of organizations. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, I think it takes a certain type of person to fill those roles. I don't think everybody's cut out to be a firefighter. I don't think everybody's cut out to be a first responder in whatever capacity that is. So it's no surprise that those people that are drawn to those jobs,
they want to keep serving.
Right, also thrive on the community service aspect of it, want to be in touch with the community that they serve. And it seems that, with the outpouring of support here for Opie, those are the stories that you're just hearing from everyone. And you see in some of those photos there, I mean, just heart-wrenching. His parents, as you know, that he leaves behind a young family and those boys.
Well, at only 47 years old.
I'm a year away, right?
Yeah.
It's always too young, and especially like you mentioned, somebody that serves the community both on and off duty, somebody that's contributing.
He was serving
back
all the time, and he's not the only one. And I'm not trying to center him out as somebody that was special, although he was special. Him and his comrades, his male and female co-workers, etc., in other agencies, they all seem to be cut from kind of the same sort of cloth. And as much as we might deride police officers, and there's always a conflict maybe about certain incidents, and firefighters and people in uniform and those that run into the fire instead of running away from it and all that stuff. And no, people are never perfect. Organizations are never perfect. Always, you're going to look back and say, well, could, and they do this themselves. Could we have done something a little bit better in that situation? But that notwithstanding, all of that notwithstanding, it's a wonderful, wonderful spirit to have. And Captain Bowman and his brethren and sisterin have that. Have that special thing, whatever it is, and we thank them for it. And we'll miss you, and to the family of Opie, we send our condolences. I don't know what we could possibly say. Anyway,
Other than Lee, we've got the visitation coming up on Monday.
Yeah.
And then funeral to follow. And
Yeah.
I will be reaching out to the Firefighters Association to see if we can lend our support for any kind of broadcast for that.
That would be great, because that's a good segue, because these are the kinds of things that WeeStream would do so well and specializes in. For example, this is going to be an airing out of grief and support for a career of a man who gave a lot back to his community, and the community as a whole will not be able to share in it. However, through the efforts of a company, and I'm not trying to be crass here and just promote a cash business. It's not the point. The point is, this is a perfect kind of event that WeeStream could help share with the community. Correct?
Absolutely, Lee. And we'll be reaching out, and of course, for WeeStream, we'd be doing this at no charge.
Yeah.
Like, we wouldn't be looking for anything in return, just simply to share with the community, because, and you've seen all the comments, people, may not have known Opie personally, but just the outpouring of support locally has been overwhelming, and that's been shared by Chief Adam Eckert from Welland Fire.
And to the family and to the fire department, it's a little bit different than just having somebody hold up a cell phone and going live on Facebook. WeeStream can do it and make it a professional event and give the proper acknowledgement to Captain Bowman. So reach out to Kevin, and again, they're not going to charge you anything for this, but it would be a just acknowledgement of his career and his life. Adam Eckert, Fire Chief from Welland, says, "I'm overwhelmed by the showing of support for the Bowman family and Welland Fire. Great to have so many words of support to help our team through these difficult times. Thank you for helping us honor Captain Bowman, and thank you, Chief Eckert, for your words." Okay, something that we're going to lead into a conversation with Kevin Struband. Kevin Struband is now the executive director of what we will heretofore refer to as the Greater Niagara Humane Society. And here is a story that dovetails into this. I don't know if I can call it up right now or not. Probably not. But anyway, please share, and I'm going to do my best because the font is a little small. But this is not the first story that we have heard along these lines. This was sent to Nick. Hi, Nick, by the way, and Nick's mom at Niagara 411. Please share. My daughter took her dog for a long walk this morning in St. Catharines, then came to visit me. We went out on a brief errand. When we came back, Frankie, that's the dog, was acting strangely. At first, we thought he was tired from the long walk, but it quickly became apparent that something was seriously wrong. We took him to the Carleton Animal Hospital, which was a quick car ride away. The vet took blood and found Frankie showed positive for all 5 drugs on the panel. Now, I'm not sure what that means, but we'll have it explained. And here we are. Here's a bigger note for you. And treatment was started immediately. My daughter's very conscientious, did not notice Frankie ingest anything. He is a very active 1-year-old cockapoo. The route she walked is as follows: Russell to York, to Dufferin across the park, to Hague, to Beach, to Thomas, up Welland, to Napier, to Elizabeth, to Lake, to Beach, to Catherine, to Russell, to Woodland. This is quite the walk. Please forgive me if the streets are out of order, as I'm quite upset. Thank you to the staff at Carleton Animal Hospital for the great care Frankie received. Please be extra vigilant when walking your pups in this area. We're grateful that Frankie should be fine in 24 hours. And good on you. Now, what you're looking at now is the new logo, the new branding for the Humane Society of Greater Niagara. I got it backwards. I called it Greater Niagara Humane Society, but this is the Humane Society of Greater Niagara. And I've been harassing Kevin Struban, the executive director, over the last few days, yes, even over the long weekend, to see if he could come talk to us today. And Kevin, sorry for my phone calls coming in hot and heavy. I just didn't want to miss the opportunity to have a conversation with you.
No, I think it's great. Thank you so much for having me and for highlighting this.
Well,
I can tell you, this is the first interview I've had, so thank you.
Well, we aim to please, because it caught my attention. Being a pet owner and former pet owner, because we had to say goodbye to our lovely border collie Georgie a couple weeks ago. But as an animal lover, this came as, I don't know why people would not think of it as important, but I do, is we've known the Lincoln County Humane Society for many, many years, and I often thought to myself, where do the boundaries lie? What are the borders? What do we mean by Lincoln County Humane Society? And then all of a sudden this story came out and you said, especially now since we're including Fort Erie, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm going to shut up now and you tell me what's developed with the Humane Society. Give me the background here.
Sure. So first of all, we started in Niagara in around 1881, and I know that from a meeting that William Hamilton Merritt's son was at and was officiating. Then in 1927, we were formed as the Lincoln County Humane Society, and here jump forward 96 years, and we've decided to change it. If I go back a little bit, the regional municipality of Niagara was formed on January 1st, 1970, and that's when they abandoned the name Lincoln County. But we stuck with it for a little longer. But we decided too, many people said to us, where's Lincoln County? What is that? And you know, it used to be the north part of Niagara, right along the south shores of Lake Ontario. And that's basically the areas that we cover. But it's changed a bit. So now we do Feulled, we don't do Lincoln, we do Fort Erie. We also do Niagara on the Lake, Grimsby, and St. Catharines. So those are the 5 municipalities we cover. And that's why we thought it was high time to change the name, to update just who we are, what we do. And, you know, we do more services across Niagara for example, people that are experiencing homelessness or mental health issues or women escaping violent situations or just partner abuse at any rate, will help with taking their pets in while they get the help they need or get the care they need or leave a bad situation. So we do that across Niagara. Although we can't help everybody because of funding, those programs don't exist across Niagara, so we do that. So we thought it was more prudent to share a name that reflects who we are and what we do.
And I think that's a wonderful idea. Now, how did Fort Erie come to be brought in under the umbrella?
Well, we had an opportunity to bid on the contract. There was some question about the services that they were being provided. They put out an RFP. We responded, and our proposal won. So all 3 humane societies in Niagara bid. We were the successful proponent, and we got the contract. So that's why we provide those services. And you know, the reports back from the community and from the municipality are they're quite happy with our service and the level of care we provide. So we're happy to keep doing that and serving those residents as well.
So do you have, obviously we know that you do have a location in St. Catharines, but do you have also a location or an outlet or a contact point at these other communities that the Humane Society serves?
So we bought a new building last year in Feulled, right on Highway 20.
Yeah,
so
right.
We have that location. And we looked at one in Fort Erie. That one fell through, but that's still an option for us because it would be nice to have basically a storefront in Fort Erie. Then we could adopt animals out, be more active in the community. So we're going to keep working towards that, but right now that isn't an option.
Okay, one of the conversations that comes up fairly often amongst people in my circle, because I don't know, animal lovers and pet owners have a tendency to hang out with like kinds. So there isn't anybody I know that I hang out with that isn't concerned with the care of animals here in Niagara and how we treat them and what processes are, etc. And there is always a debate, and it's a sensitive one, about is your community a non-kill community, as horrible as that sounds? Is there a non-euthanasia policy, or what is? How do we handle animals that have been in the care of the Humane Society or SPCA's or whatever it is that have been there for long periods of time? How do our humane societies here in Niagara handle that issue?
Well, I can only speak for us, and I think it's a great question because unfortunately there's still some confusion in the communities. So we are, the term no kill is not a good one.
No,
because
it's
what
not.
it means is you don't euthanize anything for any reason, and that might be inhumane. So we do not euthanize for space, only for significant health conditions or for significant aggression. We'll work with aggressive animals, but we can't put the public at risk. And if there's something that needs too much care that we can't afford, we might not be able to care for it either. But I can tell you our euthanasia rates are less than 1% for dogs and less than 2% for cats, which if you look at the statistics across the country or across North America, there are very few organizations that come close. I think it's between 11 and 14% across the country of Canada, and if you get down to the southern United States, it's significantly higher. So
Yeah.
yes, in essence, from what most people understand to be a no-kill, we are.
Okay, that's good. Again, unless there's an absolutely proper reason, like you said, we don't kill for space. In other words, you've been around here too long, so goodbye, kind of thing. Not that kind of attitude. Okay, Kevin. Now, you said the three humane societies. So we now have the Humane Society of Greater Niagara, and is it the Niagara Falls Humane Society is another one?
So there's the Niagara SPCA,
Niagara
which covers
SPCA.
Niagara Falls, Welland, and some of the smaller municipalities, and then there's the Fort Erie SPCA.
Okay, but now are you having decided now to work with or won the contract with Fort Erie? Does that mean you're sort of absorbing the Fort Erie SPCA?
No, and that's where there's a lot of misunderstanding, I guess, because just because you're a humane society and you do animal control doesn't mean that you are the humane society for that region. So two of them can operate in one jurisdiction.
Okay.
It gets odd. It gets perhaps a little confusing, but this is a contractual obligation that's outside of the work of the Humane Society per se.
All right. And we can find about all these services and all these things, et cetera, by logging onto your website now, right?
Yes. So what we're doing is we're transferring the website over from LCHS to HSGN. We want to make sure there are no hiccups in that. So if people go directly to hsgn.ca, they can see the new website.
Okay.
And shortly, if they click on, and let's say they have a hyperlink on their desktop, they can click on that for LCHS, and it will take them right to the proper HSGN page. Okay,
so let me ask you this question now. One of the most anxious moments that a pet owner or someone that interacts with animals of any kind, whether they've hit one with their car, whether it's their pet or whatever, is in a moment of stress and emergency. Do I call my vet? My vet's probably closed. Is the Humane Society always the place to go? I mean, for people that are in stressful situation with an animal in whatever the condition might be, is the Humane Society always the place of first contact? And if not, what is?
So that's a great question because, people typically, if they have an emergency, they call the police. What are the police going to do? They're going to refer you to the Humane Society. You call us, we find out it's an owned animal, we're going to tell you to call your vet. So what people should always do is be prepared. Have a little card in your wallet that has your vet's phone number on it. And I can tell you, your vet's recording on their voicemail is going to say, call the emergency clinic. So that's the Niagara Veterinary Emergency Clinic, just in Feulled, across the border from St. Catharines. They're open all the time, so have that number handy. If it's an owned animal, you call them. If it's not an owned animal, like a stray or a wild animal, then you call us.
Okay, is there an emergency after hours number for your organization?
So our sorry, that was a little muffled, but you want our number and ours?
Yeah, is there a special emergency number? and
Just the regular.
I'm not trying to embarrass you or put you on the spot. Just by way of an example, we have your number up on the air or up on the screen right now of 905-682-0767.
You got it. 24 hours a day.
Okay, just to let you know, I called that number this morning and I got this number is no longer in service message.
Interesting.
So you might want to check into that.
I'll be checking into that. So we have a relatively new phone system, and we're over VoIP, which is Voice over Internet Protocol.
I called that number twice, and this number is no longer available. So, and again, I don't want to put you on the spot, but these are the things that if I was calling in an emergency situation, I'd go, okay, what do I do now?
Absolutely. Yeah, so I'll check into that. I'm glad you let me know, but that is the number.
Okay, so that is the number to call. Okay, Kevin, let's slide over to the story we were talking about before we brought you on the air here, is this issue of dogs on drugs. And that sounds kind of funny, but going back months, we were doing stories about dogs that were in parks, etc. I took my dog every day for a walk in the park, and when there were no other dogs around, yes, I'd let her off the leash and let her run around a little bit, and again, maybe I shouldn't have done that because you don't know what they're sniffing or licking or whatever. But this dog that we talked about earlier said the vet that served these people, their dog tested positive for 5 drugs that were all on what they called the plane. I don't know what that is. I don't know what those drugs are. But what's going on out there?
You know, that's a very odd situation because, first of all, let's say somebody is a drug user or a drug pusher, or they sell drugs, whatever. Chances are they're not going to lose drugs, and they're not going to lose 5 different types. So I question the validity of the test, but maybe it just shows certain markers, right? But if there is something going on, then I guess the main thing is to just do your due diligence. Don't let your dog sniff where you can't see. Mm-hmm. Keep it on that leash that complies with your local bylaw, which is usually it's around 6 feet.
Me included.
So make sure that you're keeping an eye on your dog. Take your dog to an open area where you can observe the dog while on the leash doing what you want it to do. And if there are concerns of an area, then just steer clear of that area. The streets you mentioned, there are a lot of them. It's hard to steer clear,
right?
But you can always keep your dog a little tighter on the leash to protect it.
Now, Kevin, just want to follow that up because this is not the first time we've heard of this. I think it was last fall we had reports of similar incidents along 12 Mile Creek and maybe up at the quarry by Brock University. Could you validate or substantiate any of these reports? Is this what's actually happening?
No, I've heard that happen. We used to do cruelty investigations, and this could, depending on the circumstances, fall under such an investigation. But those aren't done by us anymore. They're done by PAWS now, so that goes over to the province. So if there was a report of this, we would tell them to call PAWS. We wouldn't get involved. However, we do still hear about these cases, and we would respond if an animal was in distress. So we are aware of them, but there's nothing I can do to substantiate those claims.
Right. Okay. Well, Kevin, thank you very much for joining us, even on short notice. And again, I apologize for harassing you to get here, but I'm really glad you hooked up with us. Congratulations on the new purview and the new branding and the new boundaries. And we look forward to talking to you again anytime there is an issue. By the way, because we're I guess you call us animal friendly or whatever. Feel free to reach out to us at any time and pass on anything you think might be valid for the Niagara animal lovers or owners here, okay?
Excellent. Thanks, Lee. I appreciate you having me and for highlighting our new name change.
Yeah, Kevin, thanks for reaching out. Executive Director of Humane Society of Greater Niagara, Kevin Struband. Have a great week, Kevin. Hey, Kevin, some interesting information there. And as you can see, it is time for us to acknowledge our well-worn sponsors and hard-working supporters of this program. To Gales Gas Bars, thank you so much for fueling this program. You fueled Niagara for over the last 50 years and will continue to do so for the next 50 at least, I am absolutely sure. So thank you very much for being there. Verge Insurance Group has been with us all along as well for any and all of your insurance needs here in Niagara. Another born and bred Niagara company, Verge Insurance Group, Mark Shirk, Blake Shirk, and the gang there. And two new sponsors that joined us the last time that we did this program. And what do you know? They came back and said, yeah, we'll do it again. Ace Alignment is with us as well. And I just wanted to thank very much for them sticking around to saying, yeah, I think we'd like to do this again. Tell you a little bit about Ace Alignment, wheel alignments, brakes, suspension. They're also an MTO motor vehicle inspection area, so if you need some sort of accreditation and somebody to rubber stamp and check your vehicle for inspection, there you go. Oil changes, they service all makes and models of trucks, cars, and SUVs, including classic cars and tuners. And the two folks there that make all of this happen are head mechanic Darren Miller and senior mechanic Matt Crompton. So want to thank all you people for coming on board here to be with us. And I want to remind you of the location. I just didn't want to screw it up and get it wrong.
There they are on North Street.
Yeah, North. Yeah. I mean, I know where they are, but I want 64. That was the number I was looking for. 64 North Street, St. Catharines. So please, by all means, for your automotive needs, that Ace Alignment is the place to go. Darren and Matt would love to see you come in. And their website is so painfully simple. God bless them. So many people have these weird websites. You go, what the heck is that? This is very simple. acealignment.com. So visit it, find out what you can do for your automotive needs there. And to Hartzell Marine, Dave DeGrave, thank you so much also for hanging in there well, I guess we didn't alienate these folks after 1 week, so they're hanging in there for at least another. Hartzell Marine and Auto Service in Feulled as well. And thank you guys for being here for another trip around the moon. They're conveniently located, as I say, between Highway 406, between Lake Ontario and Lake Erie, serving Feulled, St. Catharines, Fonthill, Welland, Niagara Falls, Niagara on the Lake, and the Niagara Peninsula. They are just Legend Boats is one of the brand names that they have expertise in, as well as Mercury. So those are the two main marine brands that you might want to talk to them about. May 20th to May 26th, Kevin was right there, Mark, Safe Boating Awareness Week. So you can check that out. Kevin, I remember a number of years ago, I was up at my sister's cottage, and I mean, she has a boat, but it's not a boat. It's like a 14-foot rear motor fishing boat.
Okay.
Nothing special, no steering wheels or anything like that.
A little aluminum.
Just a
little 9.9 on the back.
Yeah, just a runabout. But even to operate one of those on a lake or any body of water in Canada, Ontario in particular, you still have to have a license. And it's kind of an interesting thing to go about, because I remember sitting up at the cottage, and if I'm supposed to drive the boat, I'm a guy that likes to follow the rules, silly me. It took me a while to go through the whole pamphlet and do the test and all the rest of it, and you only have to do it once. You never have to do it again, but it's an interesting thing to go through. So don't think that you can go up to your cottage and put your 10-year-old kid in on a 9-horse motor and go booting around the lake. You can't do that. Well, you can, but you're not supposed to. You are able to, but you're not allowed to. How's that? So anyway, I found that kind of interesting. So anyway, again, to Hartzell Marine, Ace Alignment, welcome back to the program, and we're just pleased as punch to have you here on an ongoing basis. Coming up is David at Dames.
And Lee, maybe I can help set this one up with David.
Okay.
Because wanted to get him on because I found this very interesting, and this is from our friend Rich Merlino
Okay.
Big stalwart guy in Niagara Falls. He's been doing his 5K runs, for over 1,000 days now in honor of Juliet Misk. And anyway, on his run, he snapped this photo that you can see there, which is right down at the falls of this interesting installation.
I remember that.
And then kind of made note of the fact that, hey, so here it is right here. You see these great photo opportunities. I'm like, well, what is this thing? That looks brand new, right?
It looks like he was wearing a weird hat, actually, there.
Right at Table Rock. It looks like an installation, and there it is. And then, just...
Nice picture with the old Seagram's Tower framed in the...
And then just as soon as it came, it seemed to be gone. And here's a pitch from, Richie's going for these runs every day, so he runs by, he goes, boy, it was just here for a few days. And then it was gone.
Right.
Well, I wasn't sure what was going on, but turns out that it was very much on purpose, and it's part of a campaign from Niagara Parks. We wanted to talk to David and Ames about it.
And that's a perfect setup. Thank you very much. Have we got David in the wings? Okay. So let's bring him on and have a chat. Hello, David.
How's everyone doing?
Everyone's doing just great. Nice to see you again. Last time I saw you, it was at the tunnel.
That's right.
The new tunnel at the Niagara Power Station. Where are you right now? I know I recognize. Are you outside there?
I use
or is this your
backdrop.
House now?
Exactly. Well, it's like my second home for sure. So I like to use this as the backdrop for these wonderful Zoom interviews, and we're very proud of the Niagara Parks Power Station. And I hope your viewers and listeners also have that point of pride in this power station. As you know, I think we've chatted a bit about this, that hydroelectric power generation is a huge part of Niagara's history. It's a huge part of our future. And to be able to do this adaptive reuse and offer this new attraction for not only Niagara residents but all our visitors, it's been truly a point of pride.
Well, I'm glad to hear you say that. I'm going to ask you more about that in a second, because my experience, of course, I was able to be there due to your gracious invitation as part of your media opening and grand opening, and was able to take the trek through the museum as well as down the tunnel and out to that spectacular view of the rapids and the two Niagara Falls, both in the U.S. as well as on the Canadian side. And the first time we went, it was just like I remembered a Niagara Falls trip being, because it was misty and it was kind of breezy and it was cool, and it was just as a kid how I remembered Niagara Falls, getting wet, like on the Maid of the Mist and all those things. And then I don't know, a couple of months later, I took my wife and some friends and stuff down there after you'd opened it, and it was one of those really beautiful, nice, hot summer days that we get here in Niagara, and we spent literally 30, 40 minutes just out being awestruck by the wonderful views that were available there. It truly is spectacular.
I agree. I mean, those are never before seen views from that perspective. So we built out a 65-foot viewing platform in the lower Niagara River. So to your point, being able to see both the Horseshoe Falls to the right, the American Falls to the left, looking back to see the gorge wall and see that geology of the lower gorge, and then to see the flow of the river from that angle. Yeah. Because sometimes, when we're at Journey Behind the Falls, Niagara Park's other core attraction, you don't quite see the same angles, you don't see the flow of the river, so it's a whole new view. And then looking directly across, you can see Terrapin Point on Goat Island. So it's a wonderful, wonderful experience.
No, it really is. Kudos to the Commission for driving this initiative forward. I've always had a great emotional connection to the rapids and Niagara Falls, having been born there, and it's just, I don't know. It's hard to explain the connection that locals will have as well as the new experience from visitors. So kudos to you for that. Now let's talk about this initiative over on Table Rock. This has been kind of an interesting process. During we had that nice Canada Day logo up there last year, the year before, or whatever. And now you've been through this sort of series of displays. Tell us about what's going on there.
So I'll take you back to 2017. It was Canada's 150th birthday or sesquicentennial. And we worked with Destination Canada, which is the national marketing organization for Canada. And they installed about 13 Canada 150 signs across the nation. We were very fortunate to have one at Niagara Parks in Niagara Falls. And we positioned that sign. It was an illuminated sign on the east side of Table Rock.
Yeah.
So facing the Horseshoe Falls. And it was the most Instagrammed Canada 150 sign during that year.
Really?
So our visitors really want to engage with public art or the sign that was there. Fast forward to about 2 years ago, we had the Fleur de Ville horticulture show going on both at Niagara Parks and up in the Fallsview Tourist District.
Right.
So we had a floral and horticulture display also in the same location as that Canada 150 sign. Same thing happened for about 2 weeks. Again, our guests engaging and taking their selfies with that. And then last year, we had the Nick Wallenda statue commemorating the 10th anniversary of that historic walk or tightrope walk.
Was it that long? 10 years?
Again, visitors engaged with the piece. So we thought about for this year about putting in a new piece that again our visitors could engage with. What we did was we repurposed a piece that we had as part of a mosaic culture horticulture exhibit in Gatineau, also in 2017. But once we installed it, we realized the scale didn't quite work. And what it was a stylized maple leaf combined with an Ontario trillium. So that was what that...
Oh, okay, because everybody was wondering, what the hell is that?
Yeah. So, as I said, we installed it to almost like a pilot project to see how it would work, but unfortunately it was just too tall for that location. So within 5 days, we took it down. So we're rethinking what we could put in that place. But we want something to engage the public on that side. So our team is back to the drawing board, coming up with some new concepts. We might have something either by this fall for Winter Festival Lights, or we'll wait till next spring, summer for the summer season of 2024.
So there are different schools of thought on displays like this, and I think it is wonderful that the Niagara Parks Commission has a spot like that you can be so flexible with and can make available to so many people that come to visit Niagara Falls. So that's great. Now, as I was saying, there's two schools of thought I know with city fathers when it comes to doing something like that. It is, do we go big and spectacular and design something that is a forever piece in that area? Or do we continue to make it a living art display so that, as you said, with Wallenda and with different things, it continues to change shapes and morph into things that are important on the day? Which way are you leaning right now, do you think?
I think we're leaning more towards something that could change. Parks always evolve. We find that we have a certain segment of our visitation who are repeat visitors. We have a certain segment who may come either once in their lifetime to check off the bucket list activity to come and see Niagara Falls, right, or they come back every 10, 15, 20 years, that sort of thing. So we think more of a temporary change,
sort of a living art
piece would make more sense.
Yeah, and then so it would change, I guess, as per the need, or would it change seasonally? I guess that's some of the things you've got to work out.
We could change it seasonally, or we may look to put it in only during the warmer months. The challenge with that location is in the winter, the conditions can be pretty challenging. We get ice buildup, snow buildup as well, but particularly ice. Ice conditions can get quite severe there.
Absolutely.
Just because of the constant mist that blows onto the Table Rock building and the area out there. And the other thing too is if if we put a piece out there that we want the visitors to engage with, we have to make sure it's safe to engage with it. So if there's ice and those types of conditions in the winter, that can be challenging.
How about in the wintertime? Because I've been down there so many times. Because I love it down there in the winter when it's all iced over. It's one of my favorite times because you can be on your own. There aren't a lot of people there, and it can be a very spiritual, silent, enjoyable time to walk along there and look at everything caked in ice. And I guess it's just something that is close to my heart because I just love it there in the wintertime. But how about some great, massive, removable, heated igloo type structure where people can go in and sit there and have themselves a cup of tea or a cup of hot chocolate and watch the winter revolve around them, something like that.
Well, it's interesting. We worked with the Niagara Grape and Wine Festival a couple of years ago, and we brought in the domes. Between Clifton Hill and Murray Hill. That was that area, so that was quite successful. So I like your thinking. We'll take that one back and see if we can create some type of concept there.
Well, good luck. You don't have to name it after me or anything like that.
Well, let me hop in there for a second, just Lee, because I was wondering, David, is there a process for people from the public to make recommendations?
That's a good idea.
Well, as Lee just did, but we certainly, your viewers and listeners can always submit information to our online email system at Niagara Parks, info@niagaraparks.com. We welcome any comments and suggestions that we can have a look at.
Yeah. It would just be so cool to be able to bring people down there in the wintertime as opposed to push them away,
Right. And certainly we have the Winter Festival of Lights activation.
Yeah.
So we just marked 40 years this past year. We're well underway with our plans for this year. Very excited about this coming Winter Festival Light season as well. So we have light activations, at the Incline Plaza, so just on the west side of Table Rock. We've got displays inside Table Rock. Wait and see what we'll have this year as well.
Great work from Niagara Parks in the welcoming atmosphere that is there. Congratulations again on that tunnel. I know it was greatly debated amongst the public and city business people, etc. Is all this effort worth it? Is it gonna work? Is it gonna be successful, etc.? Well, from my perspective, it is. Let's end up where we began. Has the Niagara Power Station tunnel and experience met your expectations?
Very much so. So when we put our business plan together for our visitation targets, our revenue targets, and most importantly, delivering on our mandate to marry up cultural stewardship, doing the adaptive reuse and restoration of a heritage building with the tourism mandate of creating new visitor attractions. So it's met all of those and then some. I'll share with you the tunnel opening alone has generated over 2,000 media articles globally, and that's worth over $100 million of earned media.
Wow.
From a visitation perspective, we believe that we'll hit about 300,000 visitors annually at that site, at the power station. It is already a profitable attraction. We're already paying back the loan. So again, Niagara Parks financed the $25 million project over a 10-year period. So we're already paying back the loan. So that's part of our mandate, being a self-funded provincial agency.
Well, that's great news, and keep at it, David Adames. I've always been proud of Niagara Falls, even when people used to call it tacky and all this other stuff like Mounties, little Mounties on horses made in China and all this hoo-ha that way back in the old days. But I've always loved it. I've always been a kid at heart when it comes to Niagara Falls, and it's really, really nice to see the city and its attractions, along with the Parks Commission, growing into itself after all these years. It's wonderful. You do a fabulous job, as does the board, and it's a pleasure to have you with us.
Well, thanks so much, Lee, and thank you, Kevin, as well.
Okay.
All right, take care.
Bye. See ya. David Adames, CEO, Niagara Parks Commission. I know I sound like I'm blowing smoke up Niagara Parks Commission, but And yeah, we've had some issues in the past with the Maid of the Mist contracts and like all this other stuff. But at the end of the day, we still live in a pretty spectacular part of the world, Kevin.
Yeah, we are so blessed and so lucky.
Yeah.
And Niagara Parks is an absolute gem with their mandate. And a lot of people I know around, I read a lot of the comments about the installation and people saying, oh, there you go, tax dollars at work. And people need to know Niagara Parks is 100% self-funded. So all the money that they get in, all the revenue from the restaurants and the attractions, that's the money that's used to fund their day-to-day operations and their year-to-year operations. It is not taxpayer funded. So cease with all your complaints. And I think those installations are really cool. I had no idea when they, the Canada sign was there for the sesquicentennial.
Canada 150, yeah.
And then I saw the Nick Wallenda statue. I didn't know that it was part of an overarching agenda from Niagara Parks to keep putting in these photo installations, which of course is just, nowadays this is just good marketing.
And now
let's give them the Instagrammable moment, right?
And now we know that these things it's a living art display relative to what time of day, year, month, era that we're living through. So now when you see something change up there, you'll have an idea about what's going on. Now, I have to admit, like I said to David, I wasn't really quite sure what that design was between the maple leaf and the, what did he say?
And the fleur-de-lis, it's kind of a combo.
And the fleur-de-lis, right. Ontarians aren't big fleur-de-lis people, but anyway. Well, your people are. You're bilingual. Your family. So,
absolutely.
Did you get what that was?
Not the fleur de. Well, I knew that it was some sort of combination of something. I don't know that I picked out maple leaf and fleur de lis, but I thought it was a cool art installation.
All right.
And good for them for recognizing that. You know what? It's a little too big for this space.
While we're talking,
back to the drawing board.
While we are talking about the magnificence that is Niagara Falls and its attractions and Niagara's attractions as a whole, we have to talk about something that was a little bit on the downside. It had a happy ending, but Hornblower, as you know, is the company that now runs the sightseeing boats, those beautiful big boats that leave the Canadian side and go up the lower rapids right up to and almost directly under Niagara Falls itself. And somebody had a bit of a scary experience, and I identified with this because I am a little bit claustrophobic. I don't like the idea of being in a closed space for too long that I am unable to get out of. And elevators are one of those things that I have to think twice about before I get in, depending on how big they are. But there was an elevator issue at the Hornblower attraction. Do we have that story?
Yeah, I'm trying to find the
Kevin,
story right now.
sorry to take you off guard here.
I just having a hard time finding it. Here we go, right here. And it was just yesterday, and in the comments, I mean, you could just see how many people share that fear.
Persons trapped in an elevator at the Hornblower in Niagara Falls. No one is in distress, but the doors won't open. Fire department on location awaiting an elevator technician. And there you go. Everyone got out without incident. I'm in distress just thinking about it. That would be me. I'm not in there, but I don't want to be. Hope they are going to be okay soon. I hope the firefighters can rise to this occasion. That trapped person needs a lift. I bet they thought that escalated quickly. Ha ha. Have been trapped in elevators 3 times. Once by myself, once with my daughter, and once with my son. They call me the Jinx, I'm assuming. Pat Saunders says everyone's nightmare. Yeah, see, you're not the only one. People always think about that. But to go to in Niagara's defense, in Hornblower's defense, and to anybody that operates elevators, I had a friend many years ago that was an elevator technician. He was a repair and maintenance person for elevators, and he said to me in these conversations years ago, it is so rare and basically all non-existent that people are ever in any danger, even if the elevator malfunctions for some reason or so, that you're not going to get hurt in there. You're going to be fine. You might be a little bit feeling weird, but you're going to be okay. And I mean, these are mechanical things. Things happen. But he said, if you get stopped, you're fine in there. You're just fine. So it is what it is. Now, coming up in just a few minutes, David Green is with us. You know David, after all this time, as probably the largest promoter of comedy in the Niagara region of anyone else in history or currently that you can think of. The Garden City Comedy Festival actually begins today, and it runs through the 27th, which is Saturday. And David Green is the organizer of it, and we always try to support the local events, and he's going to be coming by to talk to us about that. Justin Preston is a fellow that has been on this program numerous times. He is the founder of Rise Up Against Bullying. We usually talk to him around Christmas time when he makes it his, I guess, Yuletide mission to send Christmas cards and best wishes to people, thousands of people all around the world, to make them feel loved. And Justin, as if you're looking at these pictures, if you'd never heard of him before, yes, Justin spends a lot of time in drag. He's a very fancy dresser. He's a very good-looking person. And there has been a story over the last number of months and years, etc., about what we're going to talk about we're going to name in this segment Drag Queen Story Time. Now, when these people have gathered for their events, be the entertainment events or be the educational events, be they just dinners or celebrations, there have been protesters show up outside whatever facility it is or establishment that these people were going to be performing in. And drag queens, I guess we become more comfortable with calling them drag queens because of people like RuPaul and drag queen contests on television, and it's become part of the media vernacular, if you will, from an entertainment perspective. Back in my day, it was referred to as female impersonators. And if you go to a place like, let's pick one, San Francisco, Cape Cod, Provincetown, at the very tip of Cape Cod, is one of the gay female impersonator capitals of North America. So these shows, this entertainment, this pastime, I don't know, whatever adjective you want to use to describe it, has become much more prevalent, much more out in the open than it ever was in the past. But the big conflict that has developed over the last while is the fact that there are people that bring their children to these performances. And the protesters believe that this is perverting the upbringing or the development of children, trying to convert them to a lifestyle, trying to convert them to a sexual preference, and whatever kind of charges you want to make. And one of them that has gotten a lot of attention are these, what we call today for this episode, is Drag Queen Story Time. People in drag sitting in a circle or a square or an oblong or whatever shape you want to put on it, and having story time with the kiddies. There are those that believe this is an inappropriate thing to do, and it's become a thing. There have been people threatened. Justin Preston himself has been threatened. There have been angry words thrown around by protesters outside establishments that are having this event. The establishment that had the event the other day didn't have any issues because Kevin's theory and mine is the fact that it was a really, really rainy day, so people don't like to protest on rainy days. You're okay to do it. You're okay to hold these events on a rainy day, but don't do it on a sunny day or we'll show up. Justin Preston is joining us now.
We're going to get to Justin in about 10 minutes.
Who we got?
We got David.
Oh, David first. I apologize, David. I saw you wearing a wig and I thought Anyway, David Green, organizer of the Garden City Comedy Festival. Hi, Dave.
How you doing? I'm excited. I'm excited to see Justin too. I understand your excitement to want to get him on.
No, it's not. No, it's not that. I just lost my mind. I had a senior moment, so forgive me.
Yeah. I should have come join. I'm actually just down the street from you right now. I'm on St. Paul Street too.
Oh, good. All right. So, I know we have your posters up here as well. So, welcome to the show again. This is the official day one of the Garden City Comedy Festival, right?
Yes, there's the kickoff tonight. Yeah.
All right, tell us about it.
Yeah, so tonight we're at Marte Cafe for the kickoff show. It's a Jukebox Jokers musical comedy event. We got a bunch of great local acts. Got Levi Mann, Joel Van Vliet, Rebecca Hardy, Jacob Bergsma from My Son the Hurricane is kicking off as MC. And then we got Badunka Funk coming down from Hamilton to headline. It was like a one-man loop pedal comedy musical stylish. You got to see him. You can't really describe it. You got to see him. But
okay.
we got lights. We got dry ice machines. We got a photo booth thanks to Snaps of Harmony, and I'm very excited. I don't know if you can tell. I'm very very pumped up for tonight. It's going to be a fun week of shows.
So, you have often been highlighted as the master of ceremonies for these events, and Jacob's a great guy. We've known him as Mr. Downtown for many years, and of My Son the Hurricane, etc. But so, are you're going to be the puppet master of all this from behind the scenes, or what's going on?
So I'm just the organizer. I'm the guy that has to just go this morning, buy the inflatable balloons and tape them to the wall and set up the photo booth and work the door and get the sign and get the sound set up and work the dry ice machine. So all the stuff behind the scenes, all the little things, just to make this, to make everybody have fun for everybody. Set up all the fancy dance lights.
So
that's
you're
me.
the
Although
guy.
on Thursday, I get to perform tomorrow. My show is tomorrow night.
Oh, you're
so
actually
four nights.
Good for you.
Yeah,
you're actually performing tomorrow night. Where are you doing that?
So tomorrow night again, we're just down the street at the Niagara Artist Center on St. Paul. All 4 shows on St. Paul. We're on the Niagara Artist Center, which is the Niagara Comedy All-Star Show. It's all local talent. You got myself emceeing, Nick Duncan, Adam Wickens, Taylor Grant, and then Mark Matthews is going to be closing that one out as headliner. And
all right.
Friday we're at the Niagara Artist Center again for the Birchway Niagara fundraiser.
The Niagara Artist Center. Where is that?
Yeah, it's 354 St. Paul Street. So it's just down the street from where you are, across the riverside of the road from Bidler's Poorhouse, just down the other end of St. Paul. They run great. It's a not-for-profit arts organization. St. Catherine's have been around since the 60s, and they always have amazing events on, amazing community events and arts events in the community.
Now, can I ask you an interesting? Well, it's interesting to me, and I think to others as well. You put an amazing amount of time and energy into these events. Well, first of all, I know it's a passion with you, and so that's one of the things that drives it. There are a number of people that travel a fair distance. You said there's local shows too, but there are some people that come from another distance. Where I'm leading up to with all this fadalderall is, how do the finances of an event like this work? I know
it takes all of my money. I have zero money. I spend all of my money until I can't spend anymore, and that's what I do every year, every single year. And whatever, again, I wanted to get a red carpet and balloons. I can't afford a red carpet, but I got the balloons. I just have enough to pay everybody once everything things. So the first year we had the festival back in 2018, wasn't even gonna be able to afford to pay my rent, but luckily I won the St. Catherine's Emerging Artist Award, which the award was great, but it was the $500 prize that came with the award, which means I was able to eat until I could afford to get the ticket sales back. So yeah, because a lot of money, a lot of work, but it's all worth it. It's a lot. As long as it's a great way to celebrate comedy.
so you find you go out and you scour and invite the talent to come to the festival, correct?
Yes, yeah.
And
I try and cater.
And they come with a price tag.
Yeah.
Now, do you have to pay their travel expenses and all that stuff?
Yeah, as well. Say for the gala on Saturday. So I have there's 5 comics coming down from Toronto, and yeah, I've had to arrange rides to get them all down here as well, and it's a festival too, so we want to treat them well, and we've got all goodie bags and gift packs and swag bags for everybody, and coming out and food and drinks, and just make them feel good. And it's a celebration of comedy. And these aren't just regular comedy shows. It's the one time a year we can all celebrate and have party and have a good time.
I'll say at the end of this, can you go out and buy your family a dinner or something? Like,
yeah. It's a family thing too. My wife too, God bless it. Like I'd be screwed if I didn't have her helping me out, like behind the scenes, like making the swag bags, like getting her cricket and individual, like getting G, C, C, F on all the little bags, and making little. I've got an assembly line. I got my daughters and my wife making little buttons so we can sell, so we can raise funds for Birchway Niagara. So it's a whole big stressful process, but now's the time when we get to enjoy it.
Well, kudos to you for that. I realize it is a labor of love, but it certainly is labor intensive.
yeah,
no,
it is.
No doubt about
it's not
that.
that we get to fund it. We're raising funds for Birchway Niagara too, and the cool thing is our sponsor Ravenshead Homes have agreed to match every single donation. So all funds that we're going to raise for this week, we're going to double thanks to Ravenshead Homes too. So
good.
And
thanks for mentioning that. So kudos to Ravenshead for being sort of co-sponsors of this whole thing.
That's my brother James who it is.
Co-contributors, I guess.
Yeah.
All right. So we can find all of your contact information and your ticket information and the schedules, etc., on your website. Correct?
Yeah. You can go to GardenCityComedyFestival.com, but go quick because I think there's only 10 tickets left for tonight, less than 10 for tomorrow. I think 10 for Friday, and then there's literally just the back row of the Performing Arts Centre for Saturday. So all shows looking like they will sell out. So
hey, that's
you want to come out. Go to it right now. GardenCityComedyFestival.com. It's going to be a great time. That's
a win. Congratulations, David. And thanks for what you do for the community because, man, it is a lot of work. Good luck with the weekend. I hope all goes swimmingly well. I'm sure it will. And I know we'll talk again soon.
Thanks, Lee. Tell Justin I said hi, too.
Oh, I will.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye. He's a hard-working fella, Kevin.
It's so awesome. I can't wait to see all of his hard work pay off. I truly believe that the Garden City Comedy Festival is going to blossom.
It'll have a name.
Into one of the premier comedy festivals across Canada. I think David's the guy to bring it there, and I don't know if it's going to be 1 year, 5 years, or 10 years, but one day we're going to be sitting back in awe at what it's become, and all of it's due to the hard work by David. So,
no question.
But when you have that success, I think you appreciate the work that you put in. So I look forward to David to being in that armchair, right, and getting that reflection of.
Well, we actually 2 weeks ago, you and I were sitting in here after the program at Fiddler's Poorhouse, and David came in with a armful of posters and things that he was going up and down the street. I mean, this. He just doesn't sit back and get the congratulations. He's working the whole time. And for somebody that actually would love to just go to work and be a stand-up comedy comedian and do his effort, he does a lot more than that. So anyway, good luck. GardenCityComedyFestival.com. Okay, so we were chatting earlier about Justin Preston. And is he anywhere near standing by? We have him. Okay, well, let's just jump in right now instead of keeping him waiting. And before we get there, I just want to thank Gales Gas Bars again, Verge Insurance, Ace Alignment, Hartzell Marine for being our sponsors, powered by WeeStream. And I called this young man one of my heroes the last time we chatted, and I don't know if he remembers that or not, but I still feel that way. Only because I find people heroic that have visions, have passions, and do everything they can to live those in their everyday life. And if anyone personifies that, it is Justin Preston. He's founder of Rise Up Against Bullying. How are you, my friend?
I am doing super well, and I just want to say a big thank you for all that you do for our community and shining light. It's a real honor to be here.
Well, it's an honor to have you, and in this society where we seem to be more benevolent and less tolerant all at the same time. I don't know how we've managed to do that, but we are. We are more giving, we are more tolerant, we are more accepting, and yet on the flip side of the coin, we have elements of our society that are exactly the opposite. And both sides are very passionate, almost to the point of being too passionate about their beliefs. Instead of meeting somewhere in the middle, we have this tendency to be black and white, gay and straight. Like everything is like just cut and dried, and that's not the world that you and I live in.
Absolutely not. I have to admit this past week has really opened my eyes.
In what way?
I just want to start, for 10 years, I started a campaign called Rise Against Bullying, and being a national ambassador as well to Kids Help Phone, which has been a huge journey, being able to relate resources and tools for youth and adults. And, this past week, though, receiving threat messages, negative messages, people's opinions, and I dedicated, and I was very silly, reading all of them, and spent some time just kind of down, believing what people are saying, and it really brings, it takes me back, 10 years of why I started this campaign, why I bring awareness, and why I use my voice to speak up for those that are voiceless. Because if I'm able to face this battle and I guess have broad shoulders to kind of create a pathway for others in the younger generation for a smoother sail or a smoother path, it's really eye-opening, especially what has been said. And over reading a book, the world needs more purple people, which is what I had read this Sunday at the Turtle Pottery Studio in Niagara Falls. And I was very nervous, very scared. I went through the back door, not expecting what was going to be happening. And I was very thankful that none of the protesters did show up. But that safety risk and fear, because I was reading a book with a room filled of people, with a sold out event, with many parents and children that were there and that attended. And it really amazed me and kind of opened my eyes, because these young kids that were there had such a great experience, not only being able to paint a story based off of the book that I was reading, but even just, there was this 9-year-old girl that randomly out of nowhere, nothing was discussed, was just there to read a book, and she just turned to me and said, "I don't understand why people can be so hateful in this world. I'd rather be in this room painting with you than being somewhere else in a room filled with hate." And I just looked at this 9-year-old going, wow, you're so much wiser than your age. And that was the moment that made me realize that, this world's really scary.
Yeah.
And especially being a face, being a person, being the one that is trying to make a difference as well. We are.
Did we lose him a little bit there, Kevin?
Just a bit of audio at the end. Jesse, can you hear us?
Hello?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, we just said, okay, so let me play, I really don't like this term, but I'll use it anyway, devil's advocate here. We're sort of dubbing this segment, as you might imagine, Drag Queen Story Time, okay? Now, this is not the first time that children have gathered at libraries or wherever it is with their parents or with their friends or whatever to be read stories. This is not a new thing.
Right.
In this environment, it is a rather new thing, and I guess what the people that might not understand where you and your community are coming from is why is there drag queen story time? Why is it not just story time? That's the question, but I got to give you some background. The critics of what you do will say that it is an undue influence peddling to children about a lifestyle or an orientation, and they reject the fact that we have drag queen story time as opposed to just story time.
Right.
Why? Why do you do it?
So my main thing is I'm very honored and thankful that I was recommended to read a story. And I guess it's just like how you go to events. You'll see a clown blowing up balloons, or you'll see Spider-Man or a character out that's doing cosplay, or you might have Elsa going to birthday parties. Drag queens, I guess now, are being a little more accepted, but also at the same time are looked in the limelight as a negative. Being sexualized is one thing, grooming, being called a predator, I always think with like the Easter Bunny and same with Santa Claus, we have many events to be able to have something for our young youth, especially when there's not many things going on in the Niagara region for our youth to be able to attend and have fun and be able to make something educational and bring more awareness at the same time with seeing someone like me that is different. So again, when I was 13, I always wanted to be the person that I needed when I was younger. And with myself dressing up and feeling the pride and joy that I have within my community, I've been able to encounter with many young youths that really appreciated the courage and bravery that I've had. Just being my authentic self, the labels of what you should live by and what you shouldn't. I kind of took in that book and just started living freely.
Okay, I have more questions, but I know Kevin wants to break in.
What a comment, first of all, on your outfit. I got a picture up there on the screen. I mean, those boots, that rainbow fan. I mean, it's just every last detail, Justin, is just spot on. A lot of people talk about drag queen story time. There's been a lot of protests, but very few people have actually been inside the room. And you were there on the weekend and we were showing all these photos here of kids smiling and what have you. Can you talk about what actually happened during drag queen story time, even the mundane details? And
describe the event. Was
there any sexuality to it at all? You mentioned all the other events where people dress up. I mean, I'm just looking at a guy dressed up in women's clothing. But to me, that doesn't make it sexual. Talk about that a bit.
So as soon as I walked in, I was kind of escorted through the back entrance. And I walked in like feeling I was the prime minister and I had people there. I walked in, I got ready. I was in that big pink outfit. And as soon as I walked into the room, I had all of these people, parents and children, really excited to see me. As soon as I walked in, I had introduced myself as Diamond Heart Cartier, which is my drag name.
I'm sorry, repeat that? Repeat your name?
Diamond Heart Cartier is what I call myself outside of
I just missed it. Okay.
And a lot of the kids came up to me right away, gave me hugs. The owner, Susan, from the Turtle Pottery Studio in Niagara Falls, introduced me as well. We were talking about painting, and a Niagara Falls newspaper reporter was there, watched the whole entire thing, and we started right away with reading a book called This World Needs More Purple People. And it was about every person being different and liking the color purple and having the imagination. And afterwards, I was done reading. I went and I helped all the little children and the parents as well with painting their clay pottery place that they had, and explaining the colors of mixing two colors to make the color purple and using their imaginations to create some artwork. And I had walked around the room, encouraged every little one that was there, and it was just filled with just so much happiness and life and love. And there was snack time, and it was very rewarding being able to know that I was able to take the time out of my day and being recommended from my community to attend, just to put a smile on so many people's faces. As you mentioned, the people are looking at it as if I am not wearing clothes and I'm going and seeing little ones and I'm reading to them.
That's what I was going to ask you. I was going to say, I have a feeling that when it comes to children, they're pardon the pun, an open book at the best of times. But do you think they actually saw you as somebody in drag, or just a person in some pretty pink clothing that was there to give them a good time? That's kind of what I think about that sort of thing.
And I think exactly what you said. They're not looking at me as what others were online with this Facebook page that was filled with so much hate. They're looking at me more of a person that was different, and somebody that they could relate to the book after I was done reading. And just like that one 9-year-old girl said to me, she's like, I wish I could be just like you. And the compliments of I love your outfit. And I think forget that it costs $0 to be kind to one another. And we do need more awareness and safe places in our community, because it really scares me to see what I have received being an adult and what these young people actually receive just growing up in the schools and the community.
Okay, sorry to cut you off, but we're running short of time, and I get exactly what you're saying. Now let me slide into another style of event where it has been, again, criticized with regard to drag performances, etc., where people have had their families there. Do you feel, Justin, as probably the best spokesperson we could ever have for this world, do you think there are any of these events or performances that could be deemed inappropriate for all ages?
Absolutely. First, it goes with the music choices that are used. Of course, it could be with the outfits. There's two different, from a 19-plus club event to doing an all-ages family event. Especially when I host our Rise Against Bullying showcase shows in Niagara Falls, which I'm thankful for you guys promoting as well. It's about spreading awareness and positivity, creating more of a different space for our queer youth, and especially just allies and families that attend. At the same time, there are unfortunately people in this world that push boundaries, right?
Yes.
And it kind of does not put a good image on others that are trying to make a difference and have more of a fun, family-friendly event.
Okay. Justin Preston, founder of Rise Up Against Bullying, thank you for suffering the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, as they say, or as the bard said. Thank you for answering some of the tough questions. I'm sure it won't be the last ones that we'll have an opportunity to ask you, but thanks for doing this and coming on the program, and Godspeed and stay well.
Thank you again for being you. I appreciate you guys.
Okay, man. All right, there we go. So, Kevin, it's been an interesting program today. Once again, we give our condolences to the family of Captain Bowman of the Welland Fire Department, passing at a way too young age of 47 years old, a line of duty death. It has not definitely been designated that, but probably will. Kevin Struband, Executive Director of the brand new Humane Society of Greater Niagara. Thank you very much for joining us. David Adame, CEO of Niagara Parks Commission. Really interesting conversation there. David Green, organizer of Garden City Comedy Festival, and Justin Preston to talk about the drag controversies in our community. Gales Gaspars, thank you for fueling this program. Verge Insurance Group, a supporter as always. To you folks at ACE Alignment, thank you very much. I want to make sure that you go in and you say hi to Darren and Matt at ACE Alignment for any of your automotive needs. Also to Dave DeGrave, Hartsel Marine. Pleasure to have a full slate of sponsors here. To Nick at Niagara 411, Nick's mom, thanks you also for being here. Kevin Jack, we haven't had a chance to talk too much about you and WeeStreem. We've got a full program, but if you have any event or anything in particular that you think you want more people to see than you might show up in your backyard, by all means contact WeeStreem, and they'll look after you. Wow, Fiddler's Poorhouse, thank you for hosting us. This has been episode 11 of season 4 for Niagara 411 Live with Lee Sterry. That's me, the voice guy of Niagara, and also here we go. It's music time. It's entertainment time with the Northern Lights and their song called Baccarat. Have yourself a great weekend when it gets here. Cheers.